Why don't you talk
Thank
about the
you.
Tigers for a bit? What are we looking for?
All right. So here's the screen. Okay. So for just so everyone knows my process here, I did the real time start, which basically just has these are all the current actual stats for everyone. You can go on Google, except for the awards because those are a little bit messed up. But you can go on Google and you can see his actual. These are his actual stats for this year. All right, and then I had to go and mess around with arbitration stuff and whatnot. But basically, minus one starting pitcher because I kind of this is what I think the roster is going to end up looking like. 26-man roster, basically. The thing we're most interested in is, of course, how much we're going to pay these guys. So going into 2026, our most highest paid player is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Javi Baez. He's getting $24 million. And then all the arbitration values are estimated by Spot Rack, right? But Scooble's probably going to get like 20 million plus
Yep.
at least, right? And we got Mize in his final year of arbitration too. But the key thing to note here is we got a lot of players who are just now entering their first or second year of arbitration. So this is where a lot of increased payroll is going to come. So this is the I didn't put Flaherty on here because there's like a 50-50 chance he is taking his player option, which is 20 million. But we don't know about that. But I didn't include him on here, right? So we got Torque, Green, Veerling, Carpenter, Holton, Andy, Bo Brisky. These are guys are all entering their first or second years of arbitration. Right? I don't know why he's on here. This I don't know. I forgot
Yeah.
to get rid of him.
Other than having an
Uh,
unfortunate name, you can ignore him. Give him his moment.
I deleted him. Yeah, he's. I don't know why he's on this roster. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, we got. Yeah, but so we got a lot of guys who are just now starting to enter arbitration.
So,
Right. So we're gonna get
are
a
any
lot
of
of them.
them? Do you think are non-tender candidates?
Bo Brisky is a candidate. He missed a lot of the season. He went down to AAA in like May, and then he got injured, and he didn't see the majors. The rest of the he ended
Hmm.
the season on the IL. Jason Foley is also an interesting one, but I think they're gonna want to keep him. He was the 2024 saves leader, right? But he injured his shoulder like a week into the season ish. He started this, but he never saw the major leagues this season, and he's also 30, so he could be a non-tender guy. I just kept him on here because I think they're going to want to keep him.
Yeah. I would think. I mean, if it's those two, I mean, Bo Brisky, he's going to make 1.2 million. The minimum salary is, and they have to pay a minimum salary. It's
Right.
820,000 next year. So he's barely above a minimum salary as is. Unless they don't think there's anything there, there's really no reason not to give him a con- contract if it's 1.2 million estimated. But that's just my
Yeah.
thoughts.
It's Foley is the big one that.
Let's say I think Foley. I
Yeah.
think is a bigger question. Urquidy's on a minor league deal. I don't think he's making 4
We
million next year, is he?
yeah, where I kind of left it on here because it's so there was a reporting that the Tigers released him and then re-signed him to a minor league deal. It is, but that's not confirmed. But I just left him on there just for because I think they are going to bring him back. I just
Yeah.
don't know if it's going to be for a minor league deal or if it's going to be for 4 million or what what that's going to be. Andy Ibanez is another one who could end up getting released because
Mm.
he's a 32-year-old utility guy who only hits lefties.
Yeah.
There's only if you got a roster crunch, there's only so much room you got for a 32-year-old utility guy. And
Well,
I
especially
love
when
Andy Ibanez, but I
is
just don't.
McGonigal on the 40-man roster?
No, he is not.
Oh,
He's
I
not
think
Rule
that's
5 eligible.
that might be the death nail if they have a roster crunch. But
Yeah. How You Lee, however, is probably going to end up on the 40-man roster
mhm.
because he is going to be Rule 5 eligible. So,
Is there something? And I feel like you've explained to me Zach McKinstry plays multiple positions. Hopefully, I'm thinking him and not anyone else. Is there anything Zach McKinstry does that Andy Ibanez doesn't?
he hits both lefties and righties, and he plays more positions better.
McKinstry does.
Yeah.
So
And
Ibanez is kind of
Ibanez only hits lefties.
yeah.
That's his thing. Is that he's a pinch hitter and he comes in against left-handed hitters, and then he can stay in the game at a few different spots. But McKinstry, he
And
is going to start more games.
in Lee, additionally, Ibanez's primary position is third base, correct? He could play both
Yeah.
corner and field spots, but I don't mean to kind of spoil where we might be headed, but perhaps if the Tigers look outside the organization to resolve third base, maybe Ibanez becomes redundant too.
Yeah, because Ibanez, he really only plays third. He can do first, or he can do short. But McKinstry can play. McKinstry last season had games at first, second, third, short, left, and right. So he's just, yeah. Ibanez is
I have,
probably going to end up the odd man out at some point soon.
I have one other question, which is that, you alluded to Flaherty and he has a player option. If you had your druthers, would you want him to pick up that option, or would you like to be able to pocket that 20 million and see maybe what you can do with it?
I I don't know. I think I would like to see them spend that 20 million on a different pitcher if I had to choose.
Yeah.
But I would also be fine with him with him staying on the team because I think
Wouldn't
he's a
be
good pitcher.
disappointed to have him back, but you're kind of
Right.
curious what might be out there if he decided not to.
Do you
Yeah.
think, because I think he can get the qualifying offer, do you get the set if he, no, does that still work? If he turns on the player option, they can still offer him the qualifying offer. Does that,
Yeah. It had me do it in the game where like, oh, do you want to send him the
qualifying
qualifying
offer?
offer? So
That'll be because like I think he's going to get more. I don't think it's much of a coin flip if he's going to opt out. I feel pretty strongly he will opt out because he will get more. Even if it's a 2-year deal, he's going to get more than just the total sum of $20 million. However, if you add the qualifying offer, that will hurt his market. So he might actually accept a qualifying offer, play this year, and then go down when his market is not going to be hurt by the qualifying offer, if that makes
the
sense.
the vibe I get from him is that he's not concerned with maximizing how much he gets year to year. He wants that long-term deal, right? I think he's aiming for a 5-year deal or 4-year deal or something. I think if he thought it's staying would help him get there, he would
Right.
take that option. As I think that's the vibe I get from him. He's also very much said. I mean, of course he's gonna say that, but like he's also very much said, I like playing in Detroit. I like playing for the Tigers organization.
Mhm.
They've helped me a lot, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a very good option he stays in Detroit. There's a very good option that he opts out and then we just pay him again to stay.
Right.
So I just didn't put him on the payroll thing because it's 20 million and that's a lot. So I didn't want to like mess around with that too much, but it's because he has that opt out. But I think there's like a greater than 50% chance he is going to be on the team next year. The team likes him, he likes the team. Those things tend to work out.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah. But yeah, and then it just kind of gets into I just picked which pitchers I think are going to end up on the roster at the end of the day because there's a lot of if I made the 40-man lineup, 40-man roster, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of if you go by position, it's kind of oops all pitchers because there's a lot of injured pitchers in the minor leagues and a lot of pitchers at the major league level that ended up on the minor league injured list. So there's a lot of pitchers. There's not a lot of infielders. But in terms of there's only one infielder that I added, Hao Lee. I am pretty convinced he's going to end up on the 40-man roster just because he's going to be Rule 5 eligible. He had a really good spring training last year. And he plays third base, which is the position that we're kind of playing by committee. So I think he's going to end up. I don't know if he's going to start on on the major league roster or anything, but I'm saying he's probably going to end up on the 40-man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Not quite sure what else to look at here.
Go look at the pitching. Like, look at their starting rotation because.
Yeah. So this is what we have to start off. So we got Skubal, Mize, Olsen, and Melton. Those are for sure going to be on the team next year. they've all but said they've pretty much said Milton is going to be a starting pitcher next year.
Okay, that was going to be my question because it's really hard when you see somebody throw 100 in or near 100 in the bullpen to not dream on that at the back end of the game.
No, they've said he's going to be a starter. They were just concerned about his innings because he hasn't thrown more than like 120 innings in a year or something in his professional career. So they were just being really, really careful about that. But they said he's going to be a starter next year.
And just to clarify, we're not worried about Skubal being traded in the offseason?
I am not. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of bullshit. I think they're going to look at it and see our best chance of winning is with this guy on our roster.
Yeah.
And yeah, as long as they don't do nothing over the offseason and like, and then let him walk, but I guess it's a whole other conversation at this point. I feel like we can make an entire episode about the Tarek Skubal thing.
The only thing I wanted to mention is looking at with the potential lockout in 27. I think it's in Detroit's favor to get rid of him now, but I don't know how many teams are going to be offering what ultimately he is worth. Since Cy Young pitcher at this age and this point of his career, I just don't think they'll get the return that they should get for him. So
yeah, that's the thing. For me, it would have to start with like 2 top 100 prospects.
Yes.
And like, if they're not willing to pay that, if that's an overpay, that's fine. We'll keep them for another year. That's kind of where it would have to be a absolute haul in order to trade him now. And I don't think they're going to trade him.
Just Detroit front office, if you hear this, go talk to Boston. They tend to do that kind of thing. So
yeah. Well, do you think, because Juan Soto is probably the most prominent 1 year from free agency player, and they got 2 top 100 prospects plus, and I think the Padres were viewed as doing pretty well, or not the Padres, the Nationals were viewed doing pretty well on that deal, or was it 2 years with them? Maybe that was 2 years of Soto to the Padres, and then the Yankees traded.
I think it was the Yankees traded him for 1 year.
Yeah,
that goes out the window. But yeah, I don't know what I would ask for either. It would be high, but you also you're clearing up $20 million plus getting prospects back. That it depends on what you would do with Skubal's $20 million this year. I don't know. It's as a non-Detroit fan, it's going to be fun to watch that play out.
agree.
I think I don't think they're going to end up trading him though. I think I think they look at it and say, we got him for another year. Let's try and win with him for another year. Yeah, I mean, unless they got a ridiculous haul, I don't think they're going to go for it.
In which case,
and really, I think Detroit can set the price wherever they want to. Don't forget the backup plan here is, we'll just keep them and take our team that made it to Game 5 of the ALDS and try to make it better with the best pitcher in the American League. Like, they don't have to, and I get the opportunity cost of kind of losing him next year potentially, but I kind of agree with Lee that the best opportunity you have to get to the next step is with him on your roster, even if it's just for 1 more year.
Yeah.
I think I made this point a couple weeks ago, but if the last game that Skubal pitches for the Tigers is in the World Series of 2026, I think everyone in Detroit and in the Tigers organization and in the state of Michigan would be okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be acceptable to me. Even if we didn't end up hypothetically winning that World Series, it'd be like, yeah, well, we got to they clearly went through the effort and made a run.
Yeah.
I do have a question about a little bit less high profile of a pitcher here. Just somebody that I've kind of felt like has done a solid job when I've watched him both against the Guardians and just in general. But what has Kiter Monteiro done to not kind of earn a spot in the rotation? I feel like he was arguably the second best pitcher when Detroit got hot 2 years ago. I'm lost on kind of why he hasn't cemented himself a little bit more.
All right, so it's a little weird with him. I'm not quite sure what the organization is doing with him. Because you're right. In 2024, he was when we went down that stretch, it was this pitching chaos. We had 2 starters. There was Tarek Skubal and then Kiter Monteiro. But the start of the year, it was really rocky for him, right? And he's These are all his real stats, so I can see that. And like, I mean, you look in Toledo, he had a 6 ERA in Toledo this year.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, and like the start of the year, he was giving up a whole bunch of home runs, and he was kind of our sixth man for a lot of the season, where like we are down. Like when Mize got injured, it's like, all right, let's bring up Montero for the fill in the rotation. I just feel like they're not as
What are his?
high on him as they are on Melton. And
I understand
yeah,
this is a simulation. Can you just go back to his page? What does he throw? Like what? Click on his name. Okay, so 95 fastball. So he has a fastball and 3 okay pitches.
yeah.
2 okay pitches.
I feel like they might end up moving him to the bullpen.
That was
But
going to be my question. Is he's 25, could he just go to the bullpen?
he he had some moments in the postseason that were just incredible. I think it was game 1 of the ALDS where it went to 11 innings, because of course it did. He comes out of the bullpen and threw gas and
Yeah.
got those outs, and we won that game. And like he came out in inning 12 or 11 in game 5, and he was great. I mean, I kind of put him in the bullpen here just because I don't think the organization. I think their organization is going to want to get a better starting. If it's not Flaherty, it'll be some other free agent on the market, and then there's just not going to be room for him in the starting rotation. Yeah, I don't. He's kind of a weird, nebulous.
Right.
I don't really know what we're doing with him, kind of thing. But I do like Heater. I like him as a pitcher. He's got the stuff. I mean, it was against the Rockies, but he threw a Maddox. Like, I mean, I don't think those things happen on a complete accident. You know, he's a good pitcher.
Yeah, I'm not, and it's not like the Tigers are all that. I mean, I think they have some, because they have Reese Olson, who missed the last 4 months of the season. Mize is on his last year. Like, as many questions as I have about Detroit starting rotation, they do have promising young pitchers, but I do kind of wonder if Keeter. I keep saying his name wrong. I'm sorry. Montero. We'll go with that one.
Yeah.
Once you see someone can throw 100 out of the bullpen, managers really like guys who can throw 100 out of the bullpen. Like they're useful from time to time.
Yeah, he's just kind of the odd man out. Yeah, I think they just see Melton as a more promising starter. Yeah. So Montero could end up as a bullpen guy, and that would be fine because he's a good pitcher. It's just we don't really know where he's at in terms of, is he going to be a starter or is he going to be a reliever?
So I got curious and I was starting to look at that StatCast for him, and he's a 5-pitch pitcher. 4-seamer, slider, sinker, knuckle curve, and changeup. But his 4-seam, the xWOBA on that is worse than league average, and so is the changeup. So you take those 2 pitches out, he becomes a 3-pitch pitcher out of the bullpen, and he's able to really harness that sinker, throw it harder, and maybe you have somebody that, like you guys were saying, could pitch a 7th, 8th inning type scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Or he could be a good guy we trade. I mean, if our pitching room is crowded, if we have depth in pitching, he could be a guy we trade.
I would view a trade as I would prefer to keep him on the roster, because my plan with him would probably be he's going to be my first guy called up as a starter in April, but somewhere around June I'm going to maybe put him in the bullpen and then call him up that way. But
that's also fair.
So then, what are we looking at with that 5th spot? Then is it a pitcher that's already on the team, or are we hoping that it's a free agent?
Kenta Maeda.
I'm hoping it's going to be Flaherty / some other free agent that we sign. It's probably
and they're not going to go like top end. I mean, I'm looking at the free agent pitchers. I mean, I obviously I don't want you guys to take Dylan Cease. I'm hoping he comes back to the Sox. But you look at the free agents available, and it's like, are they willing to spend as much as the higher end free agents are going to cost for pitching?
Right.
Or do you just get a mid-level, mid-tier arm?
I would say like someone in the 20 million again is kind of where I would put, because that's what Flaherty cost. So like if we gave Flaherty 25 million, I mean,
Right.
like my dream is Ranger Suarez or Dylan Cease. I just don't know if that's going to necessarily happen. So it might end up being a guy like, God, I hope we don't get Lorenzen because I don't really like him.
What?
He's fine. If he's your fifth starter, he's fine, but he can't be the guy of the
We had him on
offseason.
the team before.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. I don't
Well,
know.
the Royals have a $12 million option for Lorenzen next year. That ain't getting picked up.
I was about to say I don't think that's going to get picked up. Like,
Yeah, that you're not spending $12 million on your fifth starter, especially when you have as much depth as the Royals do.
but
One
I
that could
don't
be is
think
a Lucas Giolito could be an option for Detroit.
I don't hate
Honestly.
that actually. I really don't hate that.
Yeah.
So,
And then there's always the thing I fear is that they're going to end up doing the bargain bin hunting, or like, oh, let's buy this 37-year-old and give him $15 million, which is a trend.
It's Cobb
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
Yeah, we keep doing that. I'm kind of tired of it. To sign an actual pitcher who's younger than needing to get checked for colon cancer. How about that?
I mean, I'm seeing a big name from Detroit here, Justin Verlander, age 42 season. I'm just one final run.
I would be fine with that if we also get someone else. He can't be
Okay.
the only
He
one.
can't be the only one.
Yeah, I suggested that a couple weeks ago as well.
Yes, can't be the only one. I do also hope that they add someone in the bullpen, Kyle Finnegan. Just because all these guys are really young. We need more experienced guys than on the team in general. But like, yeah, it's just.
So I think we're at the end we're gonna maybe do some wish casting, but you think the Tigers are gonna have some money to spend? I think is maybe what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be looking at this particular screen with the pitching, but who knows?
That is the dream. Yeah. Yeah. I kept these guys. A lot of them were on the team last year. Chase Lee, I just put him. I really like him. He's a sidearm guy and he's fun. Foley, yeah, like we talked about, I'm not entirely sure. Holton and Herder are definitely going to be on the team next year just because they're lefties. Holton had a rough year this year compared to his past 2 years. He's not going to get any MVP votes this year around, but his track record and the fact that he's a lefty is going to help him. Bo Brisky, he was injured. He kind of stunk for a while, but I'm hoping that injury will get cleared up. And also, we already have the meme, so he's got to stay on the roster. That's very. Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
We just have a lot of guys who are bouncing between MLB and AAA for the bullpen, so it's kind of just guessing who's going to end up there.
Which is how bullpens work. Like that's not particular. Yeah. The last 2 or 3 spots are always cycled through.
Yeah, and then Will Vest he's our kind of. Hinch doesn't like to use the term closer, but he's kind of our closer at this point. So yeah, he's gonna stay there. Yeah, I think I covered everything for rotation wise. Jackson Jobe, he's not on the screen because he's recovering from Tommy John. We won't be seeing him. He's a non-factor until August, September-ish. So
just in time for the playoff run.
Yep, I was about to say time for a bullpen spot. And
yeah, I'm not necessarily too high on, oh yeah, he's going to come back and go right back to where he was because Tommy John doesn't really work that way. Right. But I mean, according to reports, he's progressing faster than expected. So we're going to see him at some point, but yeah,
he's
not
a
right
bonus.
Away. Yeah. Then we get to our position players, which is where it's pretty much the same as it was last year, except so I did write down the guys who are most likely to first off the roster, right? I think Trey Sweeney at shortstop. If we bring up McGonigal, Trey Sweeney is going to be gone, right? Yeah. We talked about Andy Ibanez already, and then Matt Vierling. I'm not quite sure what we're gonna end up doing with him, right? Because he was injured all of last year. You know, how many games did he play? He played in 31 games. He
Mhm.
had he did not do well when he was up, and he was just injured all year. And our outfield is kind of crowded, so I feel like he's going to end up being an odd guy out. Also, because we'd have to pay him more than like Parker Meadows. So
What's his
But does
contract?
Baez
Though? 4 million.
does Baez keep getting used as an outfielder going into 26? Do you think?
probably he's not going to be not as much. Like we saw Perez and Vierling being used in the outfield before we had put Javi in. So like if those guys are injured, then we'll put Javi in, but he's going to remain in the infield for the most part. But he's going to be an option to play center field.
I think especially with Javi, and I'm sure you'll talk about him a lot. You just found added that contract is already a waste. Like you're not going to get the value of that contract back. But now that you kind of like unlocked a little bonus value to it, where you can now play in the outfield pretty decent, like I would ride that guy hard as I'd have as a backup in like 4 or 5 different positions until that body breaks down.
Yeah,
I mean,
because he can play short, he can play third, second, outfield. Like,
Yep.
I mean, he's handy.
that has gone from being just like one of the most god awful contracts to just being merely a bad
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
And if you can treat him, I mean, he's going to be the first guy off the bench, but if he just gives guys days off, he's still going to get 400 plate appearances if he just does that. Like, and he can get hot. Like, he proved that in the first half of the year where he was an actual all-star.
Right.
It's just predictably, he didn't do that in the second half.
But he was incredible in the postseason.
Right.
I mean, you know, you keep him on the roster to have that postseason, you know,
As much as I crapped on Javi Baez during his hot streak, I would be a little intimidated of him in the playoffs because he is just like that perfect caliber of like power and just enough magic just to make you burn, like a Bo Bichette with one leg hitting a home run in a World Series type magic.
And we've talked a lot about how Detroit at this stage kind of needs some veteran leadership. And that's a guy that,
Yeah,
you're subtracting from veteran leadership if you suddenly don't have that guy in your roster anymore.
Yeah, like going into the postseason, he said, if we go out there and we play our best and we just get beat, that's fine. But I don't want us to be like, oh, we could have done better. We could have done this. He's like, I want us to go out and we're going to put everything in it. And,
right.
you know, and it was just, yeah, it was great to see him play so well in the postseason because, like, that's the guy we thought we were getting 3 years ago, you know, and we're finally seeing it. I mean, look, the contract's bad, right? We've said that 100 times over. But if he hits a game-winning home run in the World Series, is anyone going to call that contract bad?
Nope, it's suddenly the best decision.
Exactly. So he's just got that postseason stuff in him, and you can play 4 different positions. You know, he'll go into hot streaks and he'll hit with runners in scoring position. I don't think we're getting rid of his contract anytime soon.
No.
I think
if
maybe
you do, it will be a salary dump, Carlos Correa style.
Yeah.
To the Cubs.
To the Cubs, yeah.
Yeah. I think the only reason I can see we end up, you know, getting rid of him early is if Kevin McGonigal comes up and is Rookie of the Year. You know? Like, but I also don't think that's necessarily going to happen. You know?
I also feel like with McGonigal, they're not going to call him up for Javi to play above him. Like Javi's role is not going to matter at all to McGonigal. He's just going to be at second or third or wherever they have him.
Right. It's just Javi is our starting shortstop because our other options are Trey Sweeney and Zach McKinstry. So he is by default our best option at short. Like you can argue about who's the better hitter between him and McKinstry, but he's got better defense than McKinstry at short. So yeah, short's a weird.
Regarding
Sorry, go ahead.
regarding Vierling, you were mentioning him a minute ago. I've talked a lot about how I've kind of perceived David Fry this year as having a lost season, and that was coming back from Tommy John and then hitting him in the face and all that. But Do you kind of but there's a lot of potential there. The Guardians in 2024 were at their best when guys like David Fry were offensively potent and part of kind of that lineup every day. Is Veerling kind of similar in the sense that maybe he's part of the solution that takes this team to another level if he's just healthy and capable of doing the things he did in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, going at the on our run in 2024, he was a really important piece. I mean, he was the only guy with postseason experience, so he was one of the veterans, even though he's like 27. He's, I mean, he's such a clubhouse presence. He's got so much energy to him. It's just this past year was just so much of a lost year. He barely played at all. When he did play, he was bad. It's just kind of him and Parker have the same thing where we've seen how they are when they're on, but they were both injured. They both didn't play a whole lot. It's just kind of a, are they just here until Max Clark comes up, or are they part of a long-term solution? So,
They platoon in center, or is that a waste of either of their talent?
they could put Parker Meadows' defense is just so incredible.
Okay,
He just has to hit 200 and he's worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know?
gotcha.
But the thing is, he wasn't hitting 200. He was hitting 160 is the problem. And yeah, there is a little bit of platooning because Parker is a lefty and Veerling is right. So, but it's if I had to choose between which one to keep long term, I think I would go Parker because he's younger and he's got the better defense. I think, but center field is kind of a hole in terms of, and then it's kind of we're waiting until Max Clark comes up. So, but like either of those guys can move over to right field or anything.
Just curious, do they have projections on when they're expecting some of these younger talents to come up from the minors?
We're thinking next year. It's just a matter of when next year.
Got it.
McGonigal and Clark are both slotted for. They're probably going to come next year. In his post-season press conference, Scott Harris said that there are top young prospects who are going to make an impact in 2026. He didn't name any of them, but we're assuming it's going to be Clark and McGonigal.
Right. Oh, I mean, so McGonigal's already at AAA, and he's what?
No, he's in AA.
Oh, but he's a top 100 global prospect or a top 10 global prospect. So
I think he's like second. He ended the season like second. He's currently in the Arizona Fall League, tearing it up. So
that's also a very a statement literally any manager or general manager could say. Our top prospects are going to make an impact next season. Like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're right. But we're pretty confident that they're going to make the roster at some point next year. At some point a couple months ago, I was like, I want McGonigal to start on the opening day roster because he was looking very good. I don't think it's going to happen. The trend has been, since Harris has been in charge, to go slow with the prospects. Mm-hmm. They're not worried about, they're not really going to do roster manipulation to make sure that he stays long enough and to not get extra service time. They're not really doing any of that, but they lean more on the slow and cautious side in terms of player development.
But even if they don't have to bring these the talents up until September just to get that extra level of energy into the team, at the end of the year might be beneficial for them as well if they don't need them.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to make an impact at some point. It's just a matter of when and who ends up having to leave the team in order to make room. Let's talk about a little more. I mean, left field is going to be Riley Green. Right field, I put Wencel Perez in there because I think Carpenter is going to be more of a DH. Carpenter's not great defensively. He looked better this year, but he's not the fastest, and he's not really great at tracking the balls and all that stuff. But Perez he's not necessarily the strongest or the fastest, but he's gotten the mechanics down really well. So I think he's going to end up playing in right more. Also, he's a switch hitter, which is like Hinch's dream. So, yeah. And Colt Keith. Okay, so Keith's thing was going into the offseason, like he's going to play first base because we weren't sure if Torque was going to make the roster. And then Torque started playing like an MVP.
Yeah, he took that personal is what he did.
Yeah. And then Keith moved to back to second / DH because Torres was injured to start off the year, and then he was mostly DHing, and then they moved him to third, which is his natural position. It's just when he was in the minors, he injured his arm, and instead of getting the surgery, they decided to rehab it, and so he moved to second for the arm strength. But his arm strength is back up, so they put him at third. His defense didn't look great because they had him move positions twice. But they're going to figure out where positioning they're going to keep him. We have him on a long-term contract, so he's going to be on the team, and he's developing into a good player, right? He has a place on this team. It's a matter of which free agent do we sign and what position, and then we kind of put Keith in the other position, pretty much. But I put him at third because just based on what Hinch has said and what I've seen, I think he's more comfortable at third. So I put him there for now.
It's actually interesting. I pulled up his StatCast page. He had 0 outs above average at first, but -1 at second, -2 at third. So it's interesting where he's being put is actually going to affect the team.
Yeah, and they're going to talk to him and figure out what his opinion and which position he feels like best at. But he's not a utility guy. He was forced to change positions a lot, which really affected. I mean, we had to change because he spent the entire offseason prepping for first base, and then he barely played first base. So that's
Andrew Vaughn 2.0.
Yeah, it's. Well, we'll see. We'll see how he turns out. I think his defense has the potential to be. I don't think he's going to be a Gold Glove, but he has the potential to be average to slightly above average. He just needs to. They just need to give him one spot and stop moving him, and just let him spend the offseason practicing for that one spot. So,
I think this Tigers the position players are just a really interesting mix of players in the sense that you got a bunch of guys that are super athletic and could play like 4 or 5 different positions. McKinstry, Baez, Verling, are really probably the main 3. But you got some positional flexibility. We've talked on this show about how much Hinch loves to be able to mix and match. But then I think you've got some guys like Carpenter and Torkelson, and I think I'd lump Keith into this. I'm not as optimistic about Cole Keith's ability to play either second or third base. Ty, I did the exact same thing. I got curious and I went to his StatCast page, and he's 22nd percentile in range among players. So not the range to play second base, and 31 percentile in arm strength, not the arm strength to play third. So it's like you got a bunch of guys that are super athletic and can play up the middle, but then you also have a bunch of guys that are a DH and or first baseman. And I think there's opportunity to improve upon that this winter and maybe finding some talent both in the organization. We've talked a little bit about some of those guys that could maybe supplement, but also maybe outside of it.
yeah, it'll be
Just my opinion.
How do they score for arm strength if you're a second baseman? Because that's the position you really don't need is arm strength.
And that's, you know what, that's fair. Maybe he wasn't letting it fly if he was playing a lot of second base. So could be.
But at least it's one of those situations where it looks like because you do have these guys with a similar profile, like if Torkelson goes out in 26 and doesn't do what he's expected, you do have someone else to slot in to try to give him that time there.
That's a good point.
It's not the fact that we have to play this guy here because that's all we have that fits a first baseman profile. So that is a benefit for the Tigers going into next year.
And the one more thing I'll add is I say all that, but he's a good hitter and he should be in the lineup. You're going to take a loss at third base or second base or whatever if you want to get his bat in order. That's fine. I'm just pointing out that there's an opportunity there to maybe get better on the margins by adding some different types of players around these guys.
I think the problem is people are looking at our best players and seeing oh, we could get better at these spots if we upgraded from Riley Green to whoever, right? You don't upgrade a team by upgrading your best players. You upgrade your worst players. Cole Keith is one of our best players. You don't want to replace him on the roster, right? Because you're just your net increase isn't going to be as much. If that makes sense.
Entirely agree.
Yeah,
Also,
like our
I
best
think-
lineups in the season consisted of Torque, Baez, and Keith at the same time. You want him in the lineup somewhere. And like we don't have a strict DH, right? I put Carpenter at DH, but he plays right field, right? It's our DH is a lot of the times is the guy who doesn't fit on the field, and so you put him at DH, but you want him to be hitting.
And I think I don't want to say the word easy, but one of the most straightforward things to improve upon for a ball player in the offseason is your defense.
Yeah, like I said, Keith, his defense was limited by the fact he spent all offseason prepping for first base. So if he spends all offseason preparing for third base, his defense is going to be a lot better.
That's totally valid. Like he's 24. Like he's not a finished product at any of those positions at this point. He could be better than he currently is.
Yeah. And these guys are professional athletes too.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot of work with Alan Trammell, which is very helpful because Trammell is very good at that sort of thing. So I think he's going to get better defensively. It's just a matter of which position he's going to stay at. They just have to keep him at one spot because I don't think he's the guy who can move around.
So Lee, help me understand this. So with Torkelson, does the internal Detroit fan base feel like he is still a long-term option with Keith there, or is he just valid for last season because he did bring back that MVP caliber play?
I think he's viewed as, for now, he is going to be on the team moving forward, which isn't a very satisfying option. He bought himself another year or two, right?
Got it.
We got like a Theron Lorenzo coming up, who could be a replacement at first base, maybe ? But Spencer Torkelson is not a position. First base is not a position we're looking to upgrade. It's Torkelson he's our guy going forward. He's not necessarily a sign him up for life player, but he's at least keep him on the roster until his arbitration is up.
So
Got it.
Not to put you on the spot, but that I do think it's an interesting question. You have to sign Torkelson. You can only keep one of them on the roster for the next 3 years, Torkelson or Keith.
Well, Keith has a contract.
I'm just saying you only get like.
If I only had to keep one,
the other one has to go away. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Big old Torkelson trade this offseason.
See, that's where I would be. I might be convincing myself on air to do this, but
I think I would lean Keith if I had to choose. But
Higher ceiling, I assume.
I think he's got a little bit of a higher ceiling and a higher floor. I think he's got a higher floor than Torque.
It does pose a really interesting question. Like you can dangle a first baseman that hit 30 home runs last year as a trade, and he's team controlled still. You could get quite a bit. I get that first base, you expect the power, but still.
Especially if you need that starting pitching spot, that's going to come in way more valuable than.
Because especially I don't know. I kind of like the idea of dangling him out there a little bit. The more I think about it, I'm thinking like you can sell high. Now the risk is you're going to get rid of like Jose Bautista, like the second coming of Jose Bautista. But like,
I mean, like the first 2 months, he looked like a legitimate MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was playing that good. Like his batting average went down and his home runs kind of petered out towards the second half of the season. But like, I mean, there was a very good few months of baseball, and like he wasn't bad. He was just good instead of fantastic, right? So, and it's just a question of, is he going to continue that next year? Just because we have this history with him where he's gone up and down in years. But for now, last year was his last shot. He got himself that extra chance.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I don't know if I would be looking to trade him, but I'd be pretty open to it.
Yeah, if someone came to us to be like, "Oh, here's a really good trade package," it'd be like, "Okay, I could be okay with this."
Or like, I was looking at, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I went to go look at Spotrac, and there are some interesting player option, mutual option candidates. Like that I might, dangle a Spencer Torkelson to get a good starting pitcher, but we can talk about that when we get there.
Let's see. What have I not talked about? Catcher. Yeah, Dylan Dingler is going to be the guy for the next couple of years. I think that's pretty much. I mean, this past season he was top 5 catcher in baseball. If you go by WAR or however you
And
grade it.
Just the last name, like Dingler, like you can't have him not on your MLB roster. Like, come on.
Exactly. That's
I did not
fantastic.
take him seriously because of his name for the first 6 weeks. Like I thought he was like a haha, like look at it, look at the funny name. Oh no, this is a legit dude now. Okay, well crap.
This is the real guy.
Dylan Dingler's here to stay.
It was like us with with Jake Berger in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got a friend. She's a huge Jake Berger fan just because it's Jake Berger. Like that's it's the funniest name possible.
Love it. No, but it was really cool for me, at least from a third party perspective, like seeing a catcher like him of his caliber, like playing the way he does on a day-to-day basis. Like he always seems to impact the game some way, shape, or form. So from a third party perspective, like I see his value. And it's nice to see that you'll have him for the next couple of years as well.
And if only he could learn how to draw a walk.
Now we're talking.
We can't have everything, Eric.
He did. On this podcast, I gave Dingler a lot of grief for not walking enough, particularly early in the season. Lee, I agree. He's still not good at it, but he's like the White Sox of walking. Like he got better at it as the season went on.
Okay. All right.
We had a Dylan Dingler walk counter where every time he got a walk, I put in the Discord.
For a
Dylan
while
Dingler
there,
walk counter TM.
For a while there, it was Stephen Kwan outfield assists versus Dylan Dingler walks, and then Kwan fell behind and stopped with that. So,
because I think through June, I think Kwan had tied the outfield. I think he was tied with Dingler for either of those.
Yeah,
he was.
They were tied at one point, but then Dingler ran away with it towards the last month.
Well, he walked away with it actually.
Well, I can tell you that in 2025, Dylan Dingler had 469 plate appearances, and he walked 23 times.
Yep.
I think he had.
I didn't know it was that low.
That's pretty low.
Yeah. He's the only qualified players on the team to walk less was Javi Baez, obviously, and Kerry Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Carpenter's a weird one because he hit more home runs than walks.
You would think that guy would walk more just because of the power potential.
But he's not swinging and missing. He's just hitting everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with him not walking because he was just hitting everything.
Yeah, until that goes away, and then he's just crappy contact to second base as a catcher speed. But
yeah, that's a 5% walking rate there for.
It was 2% at one point. So, like I said, better.
It took him like 2 months to get his first walk.
Well, maybe if he can just go from like 5% to 7% next year. Right. I mean, just. Yeah. Keep going.
Well, it's not like, yes, it's a really low, but even just doing that 2% increase, like Sam is saying, that's foul balls knocked out. Like those are not automatic outs. Are those
this team as a whole strikes out too much and doesn't walk enough. So just if he can get up a little bit, he'll just be more valuable.
But Lee, is that more of approach? Is that just the players that you have, or is that the approach as the organization?
I don't know. I mean, because you could see they would put together. It was very frustrating because the last month and a half, it just seemed like they forgot how to have good at bats. Because to start off, the first 3 months, they were great at this. This is a really dumb stat, but they were leading the league in pitches seen in the first inning. Mm-hmm. Right, they were getting all these really long, making starters throw 20, 30, 40 pitches.
That's valuable.
In the first inning. Mm-hmm. They're having these long, drawn out at bats. But so the last game I went to was against the Guardians when they were losing a bajillion in a row. I watched Riley Green foul off 8 pitches, but then he would swing and miss at a fastball right down the middle. Yep. It was And that was like a trend for the last month for the whole team. They were just doing the most infuriating approaches. I don't know. The Tigers have got rid of one of their hitting coaches. Maybe we'll see something. I don't know. I think the issue is they're just, a lot of them are just really young and haven't developed that kind of discipline and eye to really be able to, know a ball is going to be coming 2 inches this way or that for the zone. And
Right. Well, I mean, you look at Javier Baez as the leadership in the clubhouse, and it's like if he hasn't done that, he can't try to teach. Yeah, I mean, and really, like you look at for the Sox, drawing comparison, Mike Tauchman this season in that leadoff spot, like he did the exact same thing. He would have 9, 10, 11 pitch at bats, but he could actually talk to our younger players about how his approach and not striking out at the end of it. Yeah. Whereas Baez, it seems like for him, it's either he's getting it a hit into the field or he's striking out. So if he doesn't have that if you don't have that in your veteran leadership, then you can't teach that's one less way to teach the kids.
Yeah. That's why Gleyber Torres was such a good ad for us, because he was incredible. Like at one point he had more walks and strikeouts for a good portion of the season. At one point he was like leading the league in terms of whatever. So he was such a good ad for that. He just kind of fell off because he also had a hernia. But
this is kind of on that same subject as Gleyber, because apparently I've been saying it wrong the entire season. Thanks for telling me, everyone. But Gleyber, like the one thing I will miss about Carlos Correa is if he would, like he's so smart at like identifying pitches, and like he can know like the amount of times you would see him either strike out or head back to the dugout, but then stop at the on deck circle and just like whisper to the next, like, hey, look out for this, or he's tipping here. Like, I will kind of miss that because, like, he seems so in tune with the game. Now, his performance wasn't great at the end with the Twins, but I have that type of, like, leadership, I think is.
But having fun. That player in the clubhouse that can raise the floor for everybody else, I mean, that's how you win a championship.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping that because they're going to get some free agent position player. That's what probably, right? It could be, we could be re-signing Torres, which I'd be fine with. It could be getting Bregman or whatever. But like, okay, one of the free agents is Eugenio Suarez. I don't really want to get Suarez. He's a really good player. He strikes out a ton. He's not going to help that.
You already have Eugenio Suarez on your roster. You don't need another one, do you?
I don't want to add another guy who's going to strike out 150 times in a season when that's one of our biggest weaknesses. I want to add a high contact, high on base percentage guy.
So now that is there anyone else you want to talk to on the position players?
If I wanted to mention for Dingler, his defense is just incredible. He's a Gold Glove finalist this year, and Jake Rogers is probably going to stay the backup this year. But this is his last year of arbitration, I believe. This is probably going to be his last year. He's great defensively, but his defense went down and his hitting is still awful. So he's just not, this is probably going to be his last year. And he could even end up being replaced, but he's got a really good relationship with the pitching staff. So he's going to stay on the team for now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Gold Gloves get announced today.
Oh, they do?
Oh, do they?
Yep.
Yeah. Ding's probably not going to get it, but it was just really cool for him to be a finalist in his first full year playing in the MLB. I mean, his framing is fantastic, and he's like one of the best at throwing out runners. Like he's got some of the fastest like release and throws to second in terms of like on the radar gun. So I'm a big Dylan Dingler fan.
Framing next year does become a little bit less important, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. We're gonna have to see how that's gonna.
It's gonna be interesting.
I think we're gonna find out because you only get 3 challenges. So if framing will still be a big deal, it's just you're not gonna get away with like the clear, highway robbery pitch frames anymore.
I don't mean to jump back to the last topic, but the one other thing I wanted to mention about the World Series is the fact that it could have all ended on a replay. And I was in the car with my wife. I was like, it can't end like this. This is not, the baseball world is going to collapse.
Tell that to Toronto.
Sorry.
Yeah, all right. I think I went pretty much over everything in terms of like roster and
All right.
stuff.
So
Cool.
so now the fun stuff. How
Yeah,
much
which
money they got
is
to spend?
money. All right. So this number is an estimate. We got, like I said, we've got a lot of guys who
Yep.
are getting into the use of arbitration. So payroll, just in terms of that, is going to increase. Based on my math, last year they spent 15 plus 20 plus 10 ish on free agents. So that's like 65 ish. We're gonna subtract 10 or we'll subtract 10 to 15 based on increase in arbitration because we're giving Scooble 10
Sure.
million more than we were last year. We're giving Green and Torque and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm gonna say they got about $50 million they're gonna want to spend.
You can do a lot.
Ish. You could
Do you-
even say that goes up to 80 if you want to say, well, they were going to give Bregman 30 million, but they didn't. He didn't take that, so you could have that go all the way up to 80. So they got money they can spend here.
Essentially, I mean, that's to say they're going to spend $80 million is a lot, and I know that's not what you're saying, but they can look at any free agent and have a legitimate conversation with them.
Right. This could also go down to 60 depending if Flaherty takes his
Right.
option. But let's just say Flaherty doesn't, and they got $80 million they want to spend.
So then they have that much money to spend. How many holes do they? Second base, shortstop, and
I say one infield spot because you
Okay.
can mess around with the roster to fill anyone else. One starting pitcher, big one, and then I want to see at least one big starting pitcher signing, and I want to see one big position player signing. Not big in terms of like huge 60 or I just want to sign a position player who is
Yep.
going to be a starter. Sign a starting pitcher who is going to pitch in the playoffs.
Was the
Right.
third, if there is a third, is it bullpen spot?
Bullpen, maybe even outfield.
Okay.
do you
Because
have any?
outfield is crowded, but it's full of guys who are they could be really good, but they're not necessarily there right
It's
now.
upgrades, not full on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone that you would like? Because I've been looking at Spotrac. Because another thing that I've been saying wrong. Thanks a lot, guys, for telling me not on the air. But thank you. Any names you have maybe thinking in the back of your head?
Are we doing wish casting or are we doing more like
I mean, well, you have money to spend, so who do you want?
my dream cast for starting pitcher is Ranger Suarez. He's the crafty lefty guy. He's got very good secondary pitches. That is my dream cast for a starting pitcher. That's who I put there. And then for infield, Bo Bichette. I think
Yeah.
would be a very fun, good signing. We could go Bregman, but I've just or maybe Bregman, but I don't.
So
really
so
want
something
it,
we always like to talk about is we have our wish, and then what's like the realistic? Is the realistic starting pitcher Giolito, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I
Or
think
is that
Giolito's a good one. Let's see, because I have to keep looking up all these
S
starting pitchers to make sure.
I'll say
And
some
this-
other names, just because I'm looking at the list right now. If Kopech wants to go back to being a starter, he's an unrestricted free agent. He could also just be a bullpen guy. Merrill Kelly, I think, would be
Nice.
intriguing.
that would
Michael
be
King.
even Shane Bieber, even.
Yeah, I was
So-
going to say Bieber, Zach
Honestly.
Eflin, Zach Gallen, who I do like that. The more I look at his name, he didn't have that great of a year last year, but Zach Gallen I think would look pretty good there.
I'm looking through a spot right now.
Because I guess the other question we need to answer is with our wish list, like, do we look at, is this a pitcher or even with the infielder, is it going to be someone they're signing for a 2-year, like, let's do this before the lockout? Or is it like, hey, we want to sign somebody to a 5-6 year deal?
That's the thing, because I'm like, okay, like Suarez and Suarez and Cease, I feel like they're going to want 5-6 year deals. Do we want to sign more or do we get someone who's going to get 1-2 years? Because we're going to try and get Scooble a year from now.
here's where I'm at with Detroit. And Lee, you're not going to like this, but
Oh boy.
this offseason really hinges on how the Tigers perceive their opportunity to retain Tarek Skubal or not, where they're at with that. And I say that because, on the one hand, like I was saying before, you can not trade him and be like, who cares? We're going to go out in there and try to do our best to win in 2026. And that's completely valid. However, you can say all that, but in the back of your mind say, well, we don't think we're bringing him back. We better find an ace for 2027 and 2028 so that this thing is sustainable. In
Yeah.
that case, we're going to hold on to Scooble. We're going to go find Suarez or Cease or any of these other top. And you know what? We're going to have a two-headed monster that
Yep.
really puts us in a spot to win in 2026. And then when Scooble leaves, one, the blow is softened a little bit because we've got this other guy now, but we also are going to remain competitive moving forward. So you've got
I feel
that
like
going for you.
I feel like worst case scenario is they don't sign anyone long term this year, and then we lose Google next year. I think
But here's the thing, is if you do feel like Scooble is part of your future, the Tigers were fifth in starters fit last year. That was not a bad starting rotation as constructed. There's a lot of young dudes on that roster that could potentially get better yet too. I don't see the starting rotation as presently constructed as being that much of an issue. The Tigers were 24th in bullpen FIP. Had no swing and miss guys in that bullpen. If you think Scooble is part of the long-term solution, then you're maybe looking at Raisel Iglesias or Ryan Helsley or Devin Williams. I know didn't have a great year in New York, but maybe you could get him for a little bit less because of that. Then I think you're looking at fixing your bullpen and bringing in, Bregman or something like that. So
Yeah.
to me, that's the differentiation, and I think that's what makes the Tigers offseason so interesting. We're going to potentially find out a lot about how they feel about their future with Scooble just by the other moves they make.
Do you?
Oh, you're
And this is the other
right.
thing. I mean, from my perspective, if you don't see yourself retaining him, is there a point in going out and trying to win the World Series next year? Like looking at the other teams and what they need to do to upgrade, it seems like to me the Tigers have a higher mountain to climb than some other teams that are playoff ready now.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not going to retain him, is it worth keeping him versus going and restocking your farm system to be competitive in 2031, 2032?
I guess to me, like, that depends on how you actually view them. I view the playoffs as a pure crapshoot. So, like, to me, like,
Absolutely.
just get yourself the lottery ticket to the playoffs and hope you get hot for 3 weeks.
And the
So,
Tigers
like,
only made it to the ALCS this year and last year with, a roster made out of a bunch of guys who nobody had ever heard of, plus Tarek Skubal. It's
And
not
I
insane.
respectfully disagree with all of those points in the sense that, one, I think the Tigers are a little bit better tie than maybe you're perceiving them. That's just my opinion. I think they are, they were
Without
arguably one of the
Skubal,
better.
is my point.
right,
If
but
they don't have
That's
Skubal,
well, that's different. Now that I never mind. I entirely agree, and that's why I think it's imperative that they go out and find someone else on the open market if they don't feel good about his future with the team.
Okay, but this postseason we won 4 playoff games, 3 of them without Skubal. Like we lost 2 of the
Against
games
Cleveland?
that Skubal started.
Hey, now,
but
That's
still, Cleveland won the division.
Yeah,
I will say though,
maybe one of those other
even
really tough.
even in that case though, Lee, like part of the reason that was possible that happened in the first place was Scooble ate all those innings in those games you lost. Like,
I mean, he only went 6 innings. That game went to 15. I mean, we had a whole other game after he left the game, which has been a very topic of conversation in Tigers fandom because he only went 6 innings, 99 pitches, and anyway, whatever. My point is, I mean, I think the Detroit fan base has been spending the past 3 weeks trying to soften the blow for when Skubal inevitably leaves with, okay, we did win games in the postseason without Tarek Skubal pitching. Like,
Sure.
I mean, it's not impossible. We did do it. We
this
won a
is still
bullpen
baseball.
game.
One guy isn't that much of. You can never, ever, ever is that. Not even Otani. Like,
Well, and even Well,
He
when
still
you,
only plays one out of every 5 games.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you just see the important. Like, we're off literally one day removed from like Yamamoto probably having the best pitching performance in World Series. Maybe that's too strong, but he had a hell of a World Series. One pitcher can swing it, but like I don't know.
Scuba would be that guy, 100%.
Yep.
Scoble
Yeah.
only went 6 innings. I mean, that's the counter argument. He went
but it's
99
also-
pitches and
But
went, I'm
It's
gassed.
not
I
the
can't
World
do
Series
anymore.
either.
You have clearly the best pitcher in the American League.
Yes.
And your
One thing-
opportunity to do something in the playoffs is increased when you have the best pitcher in the American League on your team.
Yep.
That's true.
And I said earlier this year that I think the Tigers are likely to re-sign him because to me, if I was the GM, I can't let that level of talent walk away from the organization. Like you spend decades trying to find Tarek Skubal. If you let him walk, you're going to get a draft pick for him that might be hopefully 75% of what he is 5 years down the line. He's such a talent. I don't care. I'm giving him the blank check and saying, I sign it. I don't care.
I just think we're going to get outpriced. I think the Mets are going to give him $1 billion, and then
I thought he was a
Well,
Yankees candidate, to be honest, but
he's
all the
giving more
normal
Met to
candidates.
me. I think it's more of the Mets are. I don't know.
Well,
I
and
still think-
the counter argument though would be that Skubal was a 9th round pick.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes these guys just kind of not to say that he didn't have any talent, but sometimes these guys kind of just fall from the sky.
Right.
needle in a haystack. Yep.
Right. And like this is as far as 9th round picks, Skubal might be the best 9th round pick in the history of baseball. But I also it's kind of like, yeah, we found Tom Brady in the 7th round. Yeah, but he's the only like guy you're ever gonna find in the 7th round that's that caliber. So like, I get what you're saying, but like that draft class as a whole, they found Tarek Skubal. I can't let that walk away. They probably will, or they'll trade him. But
Now, Lee, has there been any reports from Skubal's point of view? I mean, you mentioned some other players. They're like, I want to be here. Detroit's my home. Has Skubal made any of those comments?
Oh, he has said it is. I would like to stay in Detroit, but that's not my job.
Yep.
It's not up to me. It's up to my agent and the front office.
And who's that agent?
So, Scott Boras.
So no longer Detroit. Good night, America.
I love it when players pretend like they have no control over what team they're playing for.
Agreed. The agent works for the player 100%.
Last year, okay, so now we got reports about like, oh, they were off by like $150 million because Scott Boras is leaking stuff to John Heyman. And last year, Skubal did what a kind of like tour. He went to a Pistons game, or a Red Wings game. He went to a Lions game. He went to a Michigan State basketball game. Like, he did all the public relations stuff. Because I think they were, so I don't know. We'll see what happens this year if he does another thing like that where he goes through all this PR or whatnot.
That's very how do you do, fellow Michiganders type of thing there.
But the thing that bothers me about that is, once again, I mean, you can tell from the way the player responds. At the end of the day, it's not going to be staying home. It's going to be who pays me the most.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's certain players that are going to take a hit and say, you know what? I mean, and Ohtani being the most paid player ever, being able to push all that money out past this, this year, or, over the however long that contract was, all the deferred money. If they really want to be somewhere, they'll make it happen.
Right.
So, and I just don't know if Skubal has proven to me as a casual, understanding of Detroit that he's going to stay.
Right.
He wants to go somewhere where he can win multiple World Series. I think it's going to end up being the tiebreaker for him.
So he's on the Dodgers. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's going to be a Dodger a year and 3 months from now. We spent a lot of time talking about Skubal. How about we talk about potential free agents Tigers could be signing this year?
Well,
I feel like
My bad. That was me.
every episode, I feel like we just spend
come
half
back
an
to
hour
him.
talking about Scooble.
Yeah.
So this is it's a mutual option, so he's likely going to opt out, but let's just pretend they hold on to him. Brandon Woodruff didn't have a great year with the Brewers last year, but has a really good track record. I'd probably think of him. What is another name I thought? Patrick Corbin, if we're going back 7 years, would look really nice.
And I'm sorry, I'm bringing him up again when we just said we wouldn't. But does the premise of a two-headed monster of Scooble and Bieber scare anybody else? Ty says no.
I
I like Bieber. I just
if you're
That's
going
fine.
to include
It's your
Bieber
opinion.
in the monster, I don't think it's a 200 monster. I think Bieber as the third. I think that Bieber
And I don't mean
plus
that. I guess that wasn't the right term because I'm not perceiving them as equals. I perceive Scooble as being shoulders
no,
above,
and
but like
I don't
it's the
think you're.
top two on like a playoff rotation. Like
I think that's
still
very
no.
good,
Okay.
but monster. I wouldn't say it's not a monster, but it's a dragon you need to slay.
Bieber
It's
needs to
Yeah.
be your 3. He needs to
yeah,
be a 3 or a 4. He cannot be your 2.
He
and I
won a
think
Cy Young,
that's. I think
He's
if
also
he's your
coming back
third,
from
you have
Tommy
a
John.
really good
That's
that's a
fair.
really good rotation. That's
Yeah.
top 5 in baseball rotation.
It's at the start of the season. There's a whole lot of talk of the Tigers rotation looks very damn good because we had Scooble, Flaherty,
Yeah.
Reese Olson and Casey Mize looked incredible to start the year. And I'm still very high on Casey Mize. I think he just hit a fatigue limit and just got tired, but he kind of worked back up. And Olson has just been injured a lot, which concerns me for his longevity. But then it just all started falling apart with injuries, and Jackson Jobe had to get Tommy John and all this other crap. But yeah, I mean, I get the idea of maybe we don't want to go all in for starting pitching because the Tigers' starting pitching is already pretty damn good. But yeah, I think
Even if you just gave
I guess I do disagree with that. I think the offense is the strength of the team. I think you need to work on the pitching staff, and then, but I mean, as long as they improve the roster, and I think I
they
said
need
this
it.
on the show.
At the end of the day, just improve the roster.
Right?
I think Sam said it a couple of weeks ago. Like best player you can get your hands on.
Yes.
Like any improvement to this roster would help propel them in the right direction. Which the Captain Obvious, but no, really, that's genuinely true. Where they become a much better contender with
if you don't want to
addition.
sign a pitcher for $40 million, but you're looking at Alex Bregman and being okay, fine. I mean, if he's going to create 30 runs rather than save 30 runs, that's fine. It does the same thing.
Now going back to Dan's 2-3 headed thing. Tell me what you guys think about this. You have Scooble as your 1, Verlander as your 2, Bieber as your 3, and everyone else on the current roster fills it out.
I don't think Verlander.
No,
I don't think Verlander's up there. I think
okay. Verlander he's 42. I don't think he did that well. I like him as a 5th option.
Okay.
I like him as a guy. Okay. But I don't think he'd do this, but maybe just
does that fill out if let's say it is him and Bieber, it's a Verlander type and a Bieber type. Does that fill out the pitching roster for you guys?
I think so. If we had
I would say, again, I maybe have a little bit higher of opinion on Bieber than you guys do, and that's maybe a little bit of homerism. But Scooble, Bieber, Flaherty, 1, 2, 3, bring Flaherty back.
That would be really good.
I think, Ty, with your point, if they would sign a Verlander type and a Flaherty or Bieber type, that checks the box for me. You've done it. You've completed the assignment, but I'm not really excited about it. Where if you get a Bieber, Flaherty, and Scooble, now we've done it. Now I'm going in excited about it.
But as we were discussing, you don't need to blow me away on the pitching if you go and get that all-star infielder or whoever that is, that all their star power out there on the field.
I think they can be flexible. I do think the Twins used to do this a lot when they were actually spending money, is they will wait for the market to come to them and then see what they can get. Maybe you
Lee, if you on the position player side, the one person you would target over anybody, is there one that sticks out? Is it Bregman or is it somebody else?
My friend's really on this. I've been talked into Bo Bichette. I think
that's right. Okay, you mentioned Bichette.
I would be fine with I'd be elated to have either Bichette or Bregman at this point. I think I kind of lean Bichette just because I am okay. So Bregman has played his entire career in Houston and then in Boston. Those two things have in common is a short left field with that wall. I don't think that would necessarily play fantastically at Comerica. That's my big concern is that we're gonna give him a ton of money and he's gonna hit a whole bunch of home runs and doubles and then he's not gonna get those because he keeps flying out to 400 feet in left field. You know,
And on the I know you don't want to bring Suarez in anyway, but he went from Arizona, great hitters park,
Yep.
to Seattle, terrible hitters, and I think America plays more like Seattle than it does Arizona as well.
Yeah.
So
and Suarez did not play well in Seattle in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And so if you weren't getting an a perennial player, I mean, is it getting Torres again? Is it an Arise type? What is your like realistic siding?
My realistic is more like Jorge Polanco could be an interesting option. Yep. He plays second. He's pretty good. He's gonna give you good stuff. Torres would also be good. I just don't necessarily. Torres is gonna want that 5-6 year deal. I don't necessarily want to give him that 6 years. I'm more looking for like 2 years, 3 years, kind of a deal.
Bichette's going to be a longer one as well.
That's the problem. But like I'm more okay with. I think Bichette is going to would give you longer.
The value would be there, 100%.
I don't know if Torres's skill set is going to keep on going. His defense is already awful. Like, are we going to have to move him to DH 2 years in? And then I don't know. I feel like Bichette would be a better value.
I think you could move him to first, though. I don't think you need to go from second to DH. You could put him at first for a bit.
Yeah, but my point is more of I think Bichette's going to give you a better value for longer than I think Torres would.
So if you're not dipping into free agents and ultimately, let's say, the Bichette doesn't work because of the length, the Polanco, maybe Seattle just wows them with a deal. I mean, is there a trade or anything that can be done with another team that would help build out this infield? Or
I think there's options for trades. I just have to look at who has one or has had 2 or 3 years. I just don't know off the top of my head.
There's always options. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I was thinking just when you were talking, Lee, well, Cleveland could use a Matt Vierling. They don't have a center fielder.
With the depth that Detroit has, there doesn't seem like there's a lot of positions where if you trade away from it, that you're going to be reducing your roster heavily. Yeah. So it's like, where can you do that one upgrade for something that another team needs?
If we Perez would be a really good option. We could trade him because he's a young switch hitter who's got decent outfield. You put him in right field in a shorter outfield, he'll look a lot better. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what the Tigers end up doing. I do think they're gonna go lean infield just because there is more of a hole there at second than there is in the outfield because our outfield is fairly crowded, and we got Max Clark coming up soon as well. Yeah.
I like it. I think if so. I don't. Think
I just don't want to get. I want to get sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to forgot. I just don't want to get another utility guy who's below average. But he's got good defense. I don't want a kind of Falefa. Give me a guy who's a really good hitter. Give me a good hitter.
Not for nothing. I don't think it's unrealistic for them to sign a Bichette and a Bieber.
Neither do I.
That's going to be under $50 million.
You just I think you don't want someone who you're crossing your fingers with.
Right. Yep. Knowing that one of those, I mean, if you sign either a Bieber or if you sign both Bichette and Bieber, chances are halfway through those contracts, you're going to regret both of them, but who cares? You have a 3-year window regardless. I don't know. Go for it now.
Well, that gives you a better opportunity to get Skubal to an extension as well or something where it's hey, we're investing.
I really would look at Skubal as a unicorn and just they're going to care what their payroll is. And this is not what they will actually do. But Skubal's salary to me should almost be outside of the payroll, even though it's going to end up being a massive part of it. If you would extend him, I don't know. I want to build a team around Scooble, even though he's going to cost me $50 million a
The
year.
comparison is the Miguel Cabrera contract for the Tigers. It's you had to pay him. You had to keep him on the team. Yeah, you regretted it. You know, the last 4 years kind of sucked, but like at the time, he needed to stay on that team.
Well,
Like, you know,
and
that's
not
kind
to
of
bring up my
comparison.
fandom, but at least you know that the Tigers will shell it out if necessary.
Yep.
I mean, it's not an Andrew Benintendi situation where you're giving your highest contract out that's $75 million, but you know that they'll know you know that they'll invest in the homegrown talent. So that's nice to know as a fan.
That's the hope for Chris Ilitch. Yeah, Scott Harris has said multiple times that Chris Ilitch is behind him, and they will pay out when they feel they are in a competitive place. Put your money where your mouth is, and give
It's
that
time.
money to Alex Bregman or Ranger Suarez, or
Give your
someone.
money to someone. Like,
Give your
don't pocket
money
it.
to someone. Yes, that is. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of options for Detroit. They got money to spend.
So, all right. I think that pretty much does it. We're near 2 hours. We talked about the Tigers quite a bit. I think, unless anybody has anything else for the betterment of the group, I can kind of go into closing thoughts. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll ask one quick question. So, like, if you're the Tigers, give me 2 free agents you want to sign, and we'll just go around the horn. Start with Lee.
2, I would say Ranger Suarez and Alex Bregman.
Okay.
Or Bo Bichette. I don't know. I
Dan.
keep going back and forth.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
That's the fun.
Raisel Iglesias and Alex Bregman.
Okay. I'm going to go Zach Gallen and Bichette. Ty.
I don't mean to be this guy, but I'm just going Flaherty Torres. I'm not gonna get
Run in the back.
run it back.
That's fine.
Yeah, it worked. Sam.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Justin Verlander, and Max Scherzer.
All right.
Full circle, and that's how they do it.
Yep.
Mad Max is just going to come back angrier after last night, so
Mm-hmm.
he'll punch through anyone else. Okay, well, I think that'll probably do it for this week. I think we're planning on recording weekly, but we're not. We're still kind of figuring that out, especially like Ty just joined. I think we're going to do something next week, but we might be going to bi-weekly, and or if something exciting happens, we might just drop something when it happens. So with that, thank you all who have made it 2 hours into the show. Talk to you guys later.